Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Last time around we had Heavy Forecast Part 1. Snails? A lot of snails. So Heavy Forecast, if you touch a rainbow, you turn into snails. They managed to defeat and catch Netherworld, Versus, and... yes, that's that. And I guess weather forecast, the bad one, he's about to encounter Poochie. So yeah. Anyway, why don't we go ahead and jump right into this episode. Reaction down in the description and in the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. Well, let's get going because my voice is dying and we should probably just get on with the episode. So here we go.
Destiny is mine. 恐れしても全ての未来途切れぬより Should I friend of life?
Alright, this suddenly became the first season of Legend of Korra. In that it's the legend of it's the legend of the Poochie brothers, and Jolene just happens to be there. I mean, the thing is, because it's all building on Dio. So it's like it worked. Okay, I will admit, I'm glad to have that because that it makes sense, question mark. At least I'm way more down with Heavy Forecast, at least. So why did people call him Weather to begin? That's so whatever. I love that I get to participate in this, though. That the narrator is like, oh, I will let you, the viewer, decide who has really sinned. Well, I don't think it's weather forecasts. Let's start there. I don't think this is on weather. Parala? No. Okay, and hang on. I gotta, I'm gonna have to look this up. So... hang on. JoJo. Here, let me just. Okay, yes. Thank you. Jiminy Christmas, man. I just had to, be sure. Because that confused me for a sec. But that's, okay, that's the reason. The reason that Poochie wanted to Enrico wanted to break up Weather and Parala is because they are blood related. I get that, but he didn't want to say anything. Thus, it created this whole tragedy. So, okay. But the person he hired did research into Weather and realized that Weather's mother, being the woman that stole Weather away in the hospital, married a black man, thus making Weather half black. It doesn't, because he doesn't know that Weather is not actually her biological son. But it would make the dead child that. But nobody else knows that. And so he brought out the clan, and Weather got lynched. Fucking Iraqi, man. He's fucking going hardcore today. As crazy as that was, I can get behind it at least. It's a damn good story. And okay, and this does confirm, because we had this question earlier that did Dio have Pale Snake to begin with? He didn't. That was specifically Enrico's stand, because I think there was something when they were talking about Survivor or something that I was like, oh, well, maybe they're hinting at that a bit, but no. So yeah, that is his stand. And I will at least give credit that it's like, okay, so how did Weather get his stand? It is because his blood brother awaken that stand. And the fact that they're twins. And because there's already precedent for that with the Joestars in general, makes sense. So, it's fucking. I'm slightly hung up on the fact that Araki brought in the fucking clan, in the same show where Yoshikage Kira was like, "Oh, I have to fix Koichi's socks," I have to do all this, or just some of the stupid shit that happens in this show, even in part 6, that he brought in the fucking clan and Weather got lynched. It's like, fuck, man. You know what it reminds me of, though? I don't know how many of you guys have seen this, but I'd be curious. PBS about a year ago, I think, did an adaptation of Around the World in 80 Days, and it starred David Tennant as Phileas Fogg. I think that was his name, but yeah, it was that, and it was him and his two companions basically going around the world in 80 days. Decent series, really enjoyed it. The funny, put that in quotes. The funny thing about it is, everywhere they went in the world, there was never a problem, really, of race. They just didn't happen in the show, basically. Until they got to America. And then it was a problem. That's when they met some of these racist fucking Americans in the Wild West. And it was one of those things where I was just like, oh, for God's sake. Not as a thing of like, oh, that wouldn't have happened. No, obviously that would have happened, But it just shows, it's like, oh, God damn it, America, you have to ruin the fucking fun. Because it's like, of course that was going to happen. But yeah, it's the only country, the only place they went in that entire series where there was an issue with race, because one of his companions was black. I think he was a black Frenchman. But the only place that was a problem was America, because of fucking course it was, And I love, put that in quotes again, love that that basically happened in JoJo. We have been to so many different locations, so many different places throughout over 100 years of time. But once we went to Florida, we got the fucking clan. Oh my God. But I mean, yeah. I am amazed that Araki went there, Especially in the series that never said the word Nazi. They only said German soldier, and they gave us Stroheim, who, even though he was a Nazi, he was a great character, And he makes you question if you should like him anyway. But for that same series to then be like, yeah, and here's the fucking clan, it's like, oh, fuck, So, that was something. I love... What was Dio doing there anyway, I mean, he talked about, like, there's the gravity between people and stuff. So it's like, oh, fate drew us together, But what was Dio doing there anyway? Why was he in the basement of a church during the day, I don't know, but it's funny. It's certainly funny. Can we also, by the way, because I feel like someone will explain this in the comments. So, is this a point against the arrow in part 5 specifically being a Requiem arrow? Because we had in part 4 Kira being pierced by the arrow again, and it just gave him a new ability. But the arrow in part 5, which had a very specific beetle design, gave both Polnareff and Giorno Requiem stands. However, that same arrow pierced Pucci, and it did not give him a Requiem stand. Granted, he didn't have a stand to begin with. I still hold that there's not really a difference between the arrows. Just some of them have that design, and I think that this sort of holds that a bit more. I think the difference is definitely more of what is pierced. If the person is pierced again, they gain a new ability. If the stand is pierced specifically, then it transforms into a Requiem stand. I hold that is the explanation, but I'm pretty sure the explanation is, who cares, you know? It's whatever the story requires, you know? If it needs to be a Requiem stand, it's a Requiem stand. If it's not, then it's not. So. Okay. So, we were posed the question by the narrator. I can't... That's so weird, too, you know? I really... This episode was good, honestly. Like, it's a little much. You really have to sort of wrap your brain around this backstory. But I think it does work, and it's... Honestly, it's the best episode we've had since we left the prison, I think. So, the question, who was the one who sinned? And that is a question that was posed to us, the viewers. Who was the one who sinned? The mother who stole Weather? Pucci, who wanted to break up the couple and indirectly killed his sister, basically. His sister, or Weather. Again, I would say, because it's not even a Romeo and Juliet thing, because they don't even know, you know? To them, they're just a normal teenage couple, you know? Like, that's not... I don't know, like, it's normally... Like, they're just a normal thing. Like, at least in Romeo and Juliet, they knew they were on opposite sides, you know? But it's a very similar thing of, like, you know, she thought he was dead, so she took her own life, but he was still alive, really. And for some reason, his stand keeps him alive, you know? Which, I guess, begs the question of... Well, I guess, because he didn't encounter another stand user who could kill him, you know? So, I guess that's why, you know, once he settles the score with Enrico, he wants to end it, basically. He wants to end it, and the only person that he can think of that can do that is Anastasia. Which, yeah, sure, Diver Drive could do that, so yeah, that's interesting. Man, again, it's like, you know, I just kind of talked about this on Chainsaw Man, where I'm like, you know, Hayakawa Aki, he is more of the main character than Denji is, to an extent, you know? Like, this episode kind of just created that again. It's like, Weather is now the main character instead of Jolene. But, because every JoJo part does that, at least to this part's credit, the previous 30 episodes have all been Jolene, so... But yeah, I'm like way more down for this now that I know this backstory. And that doesn't normally happen, actually. Because, oh my god. At least this one made sense, you know? I had to check a little thing. I mean, I pretty much... I figured that was the reason, because I mean, it doesn't help that while, yes, Weather and Enrico look similar, they do not look like their, you know, bleach blonde sister, you know? Like, pale white, bleach blonde sister. But... but yeah, but I mean, which that happens. So, and we did catch a glimpse of their parents, and it's just that the boys take after their father, I think. And Perla took more after her mother. But yeah. But for a second, I was like, wait, why? You gotta break them up. Why? And then it took me a second, like, oh, I guess if they're biologically really... Because I also had to figure out, I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, so I had to, like, keep reminding myself, like, oh, yeah, it was Weather who was taken. Weather was the one who was taken. Poochie lived the good life that he was always going to, you know? But it was Weather who was taken. Which is interesting, you don't normally see that, you know? I feel like you don't normally see that, where normally the main one would have been the one who was taken, in this case being Enrico, but it was Weather, actually. But that was a problem that, they are blood-related, and blood-related siblings should not be lovers. I don't care what the Oshinoko fandom thinks. Don't get me started on that, Jiminy Christmas, you know? But again, who has sinned? Again, I'm gonna say not Weather and not Perla. I think Poochie, bad call on what he did. I guess he didn't think that the clan would get involved, but yeah, that wasn't good. The mother, probably the mother for stealing another person's child, so... You know, okay, if we're going to ask the question of who is the one who sinned, there is one easy answer. Dio. If ever there was an easy answer, that's it. It's Dio. Let's just say that. It's Dio. Him and his little elf boots. But yeah, I mean, it was a good episode. It was a good, interesting backstory, even if I had to, like... There were a couple times where I just had to, keep piecing things back together, you know? But yeah, I'm honestly more invested in this, and I'm more invested in weather forecast now, because, this whole heavy forecast, like, oh, now he's evil now, and it's like, okay, well, it's like, but now watching this, it's like, no, I'm with him. I understand why he is furious, you know? So, I am fully on board with that, and let's go fuck up this priest, you know? But why snails? Why, Araki? Why does it have to be snails? Fucking weirdo. I want to believe he came up with the snails first and then had to justify it. I don't know, but that doesn't make any sense, because clearly he's had this idea for a long time, since he created weather forecast, but... Why snails? That doesn't make any fucking sense. It's so weird. I don't know. But I guess maybe we'll see what... Oh my god. I will call it a work of genius if they never explain why touching the rainbows turns you into snails. If they never explain that, I am going to be so down for that. So... So, good episode. I think this definitely has redeemed a lot of the past couple episodes since we left the prison, because again, I haven't been too hot on those episodes, but this was good. A good solid backstory. If crazy dark and crazy. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.